Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm
Nice.
doing well. Nice to be back in Japan. I was gone for a while. And nice to see you again. It's been a long time.
I know, right?
Mhm.
We need your language exchanges back. It was like I feel like it was the only language exchange I went to in Japan where people were not being creepy and trying to like date women.
Yeah, that's true because a lot of them were like my friends and fans and no creepy people in the bunch.
Right? I've been to language exchange. I don't know if you went to like language exchanges in the US, but the ones in the UK are pretty okay. Like people are there for language learning. But in Japan, I feel like no one, people are there, they don't know Japanese. They're just like, okay, I'm trying to meet girls here.
Totally, totally. Yeah,
It's,
I've been to them in the US, I've been to them
mm,
in China, and not only my own in Japan that I've held, but yeah, the other ones, yeah, people were trying to pick up chicks for sure.
see, I like that flex. That's a great flex. I hosted language exchanges in Japan, and mine weren't creepy.
Yeah, they were small. They were very controlled. I sent out the guest list. It wasn't just anybody. Yeah, but I'd like to do more meetups. The thing is, I just don't know how to plan for it. I don't know what to expect and how many people will come.
Mm,
I don't want to say, let's meet at Starbucks and 50 people show up.
no, I get you. I get you. So first of all, congratulations on. I guess like you haven't hit it yet, but it's nearly at a million.
Woo!
Nearly at a million.
Excited. I'm excited. Very excited and very grateful. But at the same time, it almost feels kind of artificial. And I say that
Mm,
because my channel is very much bound to the YouTube algorithm.
uh-huh.
I don't have a lot of hardcore fans. I don't have a few, but I don't have like a cult like following. I
Yeah.
think with YouTube, you don't really need millions and millions of views on each video. You need a couple
Yeah.
100,000, but you need them consistently. So I'll
Right.
post one video, 2 million views, 3 million views, different topic, barely anyone watches.
Yeah.
So
No, I hear
that's why I
you.
say it feels artificial.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And sometimes it's like the one that you put the most effort in, YouTube is like, yeah, we no one needs to see that video. And you're like, why?
Well, it's because the people that originally watched it weren't into it. That's how the algorithm works. But that's why I told you today, kind of, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm like, don't expect a whole lot of people to come and watch just to watch for me, because
That's fine. This is
that
on
is the
a
reality of the
this is on a
situation.
whole new channel anyway, so it's like I'm not expecting anything from like a podcast. I just like talking. I just like talking, and
Yeah,
apparently people are recording themselves now talking. So I was like, why not?
yeah,
All
why
right. So
not?
the premise of the podcast, we have some cards. I chose diamonds for you. And the reason
All
I chose
right.
diamonds is because you're learning, well, you really know Chinese, Japanese, you're learning Korean and
Hmm.
Vietnamese now, right? And so
That's
I
right.
chose diamonds for the four languages that you're learning. It has four sides, four languages that you're learning, all right? So,
Okay.
the premise of the podcast is I'm going to shuffle very badly, and then you'll just tell me to stop, and depending on what we land on, is we'll discuss a topic. Uh,
Sounds good.
all right, so my bad shuffling shall commence. All right, when you're ready, you can tell me to stop.
Okay, stop.
All right, so we landed on the King of Diamonds,
Okay.
which is kind of good because so the King of Diamonds is about what what good things are happening in life right now, the best things about life. So we mentioned you're about to hit 1 million subscribers. Um,
Yeah.
But apart from the 1 million subscribers, for those who don't know, your channel is I don't know, how would you describe your channel?
Wow, I should introduce myself.
I'm gonna
Sorry,
introduce you
everybody.
anyway
Forgot.
beforehand, but so it's
See,
fine.
we
But
know each other, so we're like over
right,
that already. But there's probably people watching that don't know who I am. So, hello, everyone. My name is actually Alyssa, but I go by Anming online. That's my Chinese name. And my channel is called Oriental Pearl. I mostly do YouTube and Instagram. And then apparently I'm on TikTok because people stole my stuff and put it up
jeez,
there. So, one
I
part of
saw
me
that.
is on TikTok and they won't take it down. Freaking hate TikTok. But my channel's about language learning. I've lived in Asia for years, 5 years. I'm married to a Japanese man. I went to school here, grad school in both countries, and now I'm studying Korean at a Korean language school and self-studying Vietnamese. So the channel is all about language learning, and there's a lot of talking videos where I go on the streets and I talk to people and I film the conversations. So yeah,
Awesome.
that about sums it up.
It's a very. Do you know what's weird? I used to watch you with my mum. I used to watch your videos with my mum.
Oh,
Because
seriously?
let me 1 second. Let me put my Ethernet cable in. My connection is very bad.
Sure.
All right. Da, da, da.
Difficulties. Spy.
Yeah. The stereotype about Japan and Japan's amazing internet is apparently not true in my house. Okay. All right. So yeah, as I was saying, I used to watch you with my mum. And the reason I used to watch your channel is because there's a lot of like language learn like channels where people go out and like speak a language and like, oh, these the Chinese people or whoever it is are surprised that I'm speaking their language. But yours was like the
Mm-hmm.
only one I came across where you wasn't trying to speak like 5 or 6 languages. You were just like,
Uh,
this is my experience, and I would like to show you guys what I've been going through like years beforehand anyway. So for me, it
right.
wasn't like, oh, I've learned this language to go and show YouTube. It was like, well, this is
Which
what
a
I
lot
go
of
through.
people do. And they've learned it for a couple of weeks or a couple of
Right.
months just for the purpose of the YouTube video. No, I definitely don't do that. I've been learning even Korean, the more newest language that I
Mm-hmm.
use on the channel. I've been learning Korean for over a year now, and I like focus solely on that. And I don't try to provoke a reaction out of people so
Yeah.
much. People always say in the comment section, "Hey, just speak English first and pretend like you don't know anything, and then
Yeah.
switch all of a sudden." And I'm like, first of all, we're in Japan, so it doesn't
Right.
really make sense when I'm in Chinatown. Why am I speaking English?
Right.
Should be speaking Japanese and then maybe switch to Chinese. But whatever, I'm not trying to get a reaction. I'm just trying to say, yeah, sometimes this kind of stuff happens, or this is like a more natural conversation. And I didn't just learn these languages. It's been a better part of a decade.
Yeah. And like when you're speaking to people, because again, because it's YouTube, you know, you can easily edit and like with me, whenever I'm speaking Japanese, there's like a nervousness that I still have. I did lose it before COVID, but I regained it again after COVID because obviously we didn't have, there was no way to practice.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, like, are there any times where even in Chinese, which I don't know if you'd say that's your strongest of
It was the
the foreign
first one I
languages?
learned. It was the
Um,
first one I learned, and then Japanese about 3 years, 2 or 3 years after that.
right. So
Mm-hmm.
are there any times where either you're making a video or even
Mm-hmm.
just out in general where someone says something to you or you have a conversation and you're like, I don't know what this person has just said. Like you're just lost.
No, absolutely not. But
Really?
I've been studying these languages for the better part of a decade, right? So if
Yeah.
anything, with the editing with my videos, what I cut out is not cutting out mistakes or cutting
Mm-hmm.
out lulls or cutting out problems with the conversation. I have to cut out a long part of the conversation because it goes on too long. I
Yeah.
usually you see about a minute and 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes at most of these people I talk to, but a lot of them I'm talking to them for a good 15,
Yeah.
20 minutes
Yeah.
sometimes, so much so that I've had my GoPro camera overheat during the conversation. So I'm
Damn.
chopping it down, if anything. I'm taking out material and trying to find the funniest part or the most entertaining part and taking maybe 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 minute conversations and chopping
Yeah.
them down to a 10-minute video. So it's
Yeah.
actually quite the opposite. But yeah, people have asked me that before. The only thing that doesn't get shown is the stuff that was awkward. Like I went
Mm-hmm.
up to someone and they well, number one, they weren't surprised. Okay, we can have a nice conversation, but if
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
surprise factor's not in there, not a nice conversation, not very entertaining video,
Right.
but that's the major thing that gets cut that you never see, which is why I think there's this false narrative
Hmm.
that every single white person, black person, non-Asian person that
Hmm.
speaks an Asian language is, you know, everybody's going to be shocked, which is not true.
Yeah, yeah.
But we only show the shocking videos because that's the only thing that's interesting.
Yeah, of
So,
course, that's the thing people are trying to watch. Yeah, in Japan, I don't remember the
mm-hmm.
last time, like, of course you get the Nihongo Jozu, which for people that
Mm-hmm.
don't know means like, oh, your Japanese is good. But I don't remember the last time someone had like a super surprise reaction. Like,
No,
it's
it doesn't happen here very much.
right, you're in
No.
Japan, like they're like, okay, you speak up, you speak my language, like I'm not gonna be
Yep.
crazy surprised. But
Right.
in China, is it different for China? Because
A
I
little bit, a little
mm,
bit more. A little
mm,
bit more in China. They get a little more surprised than Japanese, I guess, because China's been open to Western countries for a shorter amount of time.
yeah.
But to be honest, no, not so much. They don't freak
Mm,
out so much. But what happens is because I needed these huge crazy reactions, something entertaining, I started to go overseas to talk to Japanese people.
right.
And while I was here, it was very hard to get on camera.
Mm,
The first thing I did was start to go to Inaka, go to the
mm,
countryside where you're
mm,
more likely to make those reaction videos.
yeah.
And then when I went to every Inaka place around the whole country, I'm like, all right, I got no more places left to go in Japan. Went to all 47 prefectures. Now let's take this abroad.
Yeah.
And now I kind of go overseas and try to talk to Japanese people in other countries. But yeah, when I talk to Korean people here, Koreans specifically, they're surprised. But when I
Mm,
went to Korea and talked to them, not really. You're in Korea, of
yeah.
course you speak Korean. You're in China, of course you speak Chinese. Or you're in Japan, of course you speak Japanese. But the if I do this in the U.S., then the
Uh-huh.
reaction is different.
Yeah, I always I saw a YouTube video of somebody doing the opposite of like how would it look like if English speakers reacted to like foreign people speaking English. And I just
That's
found
so
it funny.
stupid. That's so stupid. I get those stupid comments all the time, and it's especially stupid now because there's two really big new YouTubers that are both
Mhm.
Asian, and they do these polyglot videos. One's Japanese, and the other's from Indonesia, and
I think
they
I've
they do the
seen.
exact same videos I do
Yeah.
and have the same popularity. Everybody's always got to turn it into a Western people bad narrative, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And why do they always bring up English as if that's the only language in the world? And as if, I mean, think about it. English is taught as mandatory subject in
Uh-huh.
school. At every school around the world, there's tons of resources. Not that surprising that you know
Yeah.
English.
No,
Not
do you know
putting
what?
people
I
down
said that the other day.
for
No, it's
learning it.
so true. It's like when you're learning something like Japanese or Chinese or like if I go on Netflix, I don't think there's many Chinese movies or TV shows for me to watch. Like I
Not
have
so
to go out
much.
of my way to find something to
Right.
watch to study. But with English, it's like you don't have to go very far to.
Right. There's a lot more resources and not putting anyone down for learning English and
Mm,
getting good at English because that's equally as hard as me learning Japanese in some ways.
yeah.
But I was not forced to learn Japanese in school. I'm not
Mm,
doing it for some kind of, well, initially when I started, I didn't think there would be any monetary benefit. Not doing it for work. I did it because I loved it. It
yeah.
wasn't forced upon me. I didn't expect to get anything out of it. And I mean, think about it, how many schools in the US offer Japanese as a class? Like, you really got to go
Not
out of
many
your
at
way.
all.
And same for Japanese people over here. Yeah,
Mhm.
everybody has to learn English, whether you want to or not. You're going to
Yeah.
learn it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I hear of Japanese people that speak fluent Spanish or speak French, I'm like, dang, that's
Like,
really
all right.
impressive because
Yeah.
he obviously really likes this language to go out
Uh-huh.
of his way. And it ain't easy to find French classes and teachers here in Japan.
Yeah. Or
So good
like
for them.
one of my friends tries to learn a British like not just British English, but like
hmm
slang, like British dialects. And some of the words that he says to me, I'm like, how the hell do you know? Like, that literally
right?
surprises me. Like it, I guess I know the feeling of like people seeing you speak Chinese or seeing anybody speak Japanese and feeling so happy that someone's tried to learn your language or
Mm-hmm.
dialect. Because when he says something to me and like in my dialect, I guess in British English, it makes me feel so happy. Like you really tried to learn, like
Yeah,
to
they went above and
communicate with
beyond. You
me.
know, they didn't learn that in school. Like
Right,
they did that out of pure enjoyment of the language
right.
and enjoyment of your culture, your British culture. So yeah, to sum it up, like people think they're making a witty point. What if an Asian person spoke fluent English? They think they're so smart. They're making a witty
Mm,
point, and they're just make they're
it's
making
like
no point.
it's like
And I've seen a
and
few people try to do that on YouTube and make a video about it. What they made is they made themselves look very foolish, is what they actually made.
no, I agree. I agree with that. All right, next one. We have four more. Let's shuffle, 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 shuffle. And when you're ready.
Here we go.
I'm so bad at shuffling, Jesus.
It's a new deck of cards. We'll give you some slack.
Right?
Okay, stop.
Okay.